What do you do when you get a boyfriend? Like, do you feed it? Do you pet it? Like, it's been so long for both of us.
Yeah, do you feed it or you pet it?
We just don't know what to do with y'all
stroke
now.
his head like I do Lance. That's my dog. And
Like,
pat him on his head.
what time do you take it outside? Like, we just don't know. Hey, Mamianas. It's been a while since I have been on here. I had talked about doing YouTube videos and doing a YouTube channel, which I do still have, but I rarely ever put anything on there. I'm gonna be honest, I don't feel like that's for me. I'm just not really... I'm not into doing all the video editing and all of that stuff and posting every week. I don't know if that's my calling. But I do like doing videos, just not as often as a YouTube channel would require. So what I've decided is occasionally locking in videos on Instagram and Facebook and just social media platforms. As you guys can see, I have a guest with me today. Why are you looking at me like that? This is, first of all, there wouldn't be a me without this lovely lady here, which is my mommy. I call her Mommy Cakes. I've been doing that since I was little. I'm not quite sure how that started. Do you remember how Mommy Cakes started?
No.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. I think my grandmama kind of put that thought into my mind. So pretty much what this video is just us sharing our experiences with you about our relationship, the good, the bad, the ugly, the great. And how me being raised in a single parent home has impacted my life both positively as well as, I won't say negatively, because I feel like everything that I've experienced has made me the woman I am today. So we'll say positively and rocky. Let's just put it like that. So if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, even though I said you can, tell them who you are, all that good stuff.
Hi, I'm Mommy Cakes. My name is Laura.
Okay. And
what else you want to know?
I got you. So when you found out that you were expecting a baby, not knowing whether it was male or female, when you found out you were expecting me, what was your first reaction?
I didn't want to know what it was.
Okay.
I didn't want to know. I didn't find out until she was here. I was scared to tell my mother, but I was more so scared to tell my father.
Oh, Lord. Joe Louis.
But after 9 months, she was here. Mm-hmm. It was difficult because I was a single parent, and it was enjoyable because I had somebody that was mine and that loved me unconditionally, and I still had the support of my parents.
Mm-hmm. Did you cry when you found out? Were you happy when you found out? Both?
Both.
Both of them?
Both. Yeah, I was.
How old were you when you had me?
22.
Okay. I was 21 when I had Elijah. So, yeah.
22.
Okay. What else did I put in here? My handy dandy notebook. Okay. The other question. When you found out I was a girl. No, actually, you know what? What did you want? What did you want when you found out you were expecting?
I just wanted a healthy baby.
It didn't
make a difference whether it was a boy or a girl.
I don't believe it.
At that time, I'd always said I wanted 2 kids. I wanted one of each.
So the reason I say I don't believe that she was okay with either or is because I'm her only biological child. And there's a total of 6 of us now. And ever since she had me, she got me to a decent age where I could start trying to do for myself this, that, and the third. She ventures off into doing foster caring. And everyone that she's had since she had me has been a boy. So I feel some type of way. I think that she really wanted me to be a boy. And I've been told on multiple occasions that when I finally did pop out, my grandmother's exact words was, a pissy ass girl. So apparently they were expecting for it to be a boy, but she ended up with me.
My mother was expecting a boy. She wanted a boy.
Being my mom, what do you feel like was your biggest challenge?
Being a single parent and making sure that, because there's no book, there's no science to you do this, and just being a single parent and making sure that I was doing everything right, per se, for you and I. Not so much as right as being a parent, because there's no right in being a parent.
Right.
Because it's a learning experience every day. I'm now old and I'm still learning. I'm not giving up my birthday, so quit looking at me like
now,
my age, brother.
old.
So don't do.
Who would you say was your biggest support system as you were, growing up and raising me?
Growing up would be my parents. And God rest their souls, as well as my cousin Vanessa Patton. God rest her soul, because she was my outlet where if it was something going on that I felt that I couldn't speak to my mom about, I would go to her. And she would always give me another way to look at things. I'm a person that believes in everybody needs an outlet of somebody they can go to and talk to about anything. And once we talk, to know that it's not going to go anywhere else.
Confidential. Y'all know that I myself am a single mother, and so is my mom. One of my biggest fears of getting back into dating is seeing men like, oh, I don't want to deal with her because she has a kid. So that's one of the things that I kind of feared. But for you, when it comes to dating, like, what has been a fear of yours when it comes to stepping back out there and trying it again, trying new things?
When you were little, I wanted to date. I wanted to be married. But having a daughter, I cut it off. I mean, I had folks that I talked to, go hang out with, but I'm looking at it as being, I didn't want to put my daughter in harm's way.
You can't trust everybody.
Yeah,
especially with a female.
Yeah, with having a female daughter. And nowadays, it don't make a difference what you have, boy or girl. So I just kind of put that off to the side. Now that my daughter is grown, I want to get out there in the dating world, but I don't know about doing this social media stuff.
Social media.
And meeting folks online, because, it could be a person in a grocery store as well as somebody online. That saying, we wear the mask. I've always said that, not just men, women too, because some women, you put yourself out there as being this, and this, but when that man comes to you, you are totally opposite of what you portrayed to him. And just like with men, I have a trust issue when it comes to relationships because of things that I've seen in the past with my parents, keeping it 100, and because of the relationships that I've had with men. I have a wall that's up. I'm trying to break it down. I'm working on it. It's nothing that, is going to come down immediately, but, I want to get back out there. And like I said, I hadn't been out there in so long. I'm like,
what do you do when you get a boyfriend? Like, do you feed it? Do you pet it? Like, it's been so long for both of us.
Yeah, do you feed it or you pet it?
We just don't know what to do with y'all
just stroke his head like I do Lance. That's my dog, and pat him on his head.
What time do you take it outside? Like, we just don't know. There are a lot of things, a lot of behaviors, a lot of traits that is, kids we pick up from our parents. And I do feel as if, and again, I don't look at it as a negative thing. This is one of the things that I was talking about when I said, both the positive and the rocky. I feel like a lot of the things that I witnessed my mom experience or go through, I've carried on that trait into my dating life as well, which is why, honestly, I feel like I'm still single. But like she said, we're both doing the work to try to, better ourselves. Because, who are we to point the finger and say, oh, men ain't shit, or whatever the case may be, when we're not even doing our work to make sure that we're even ready, when the opportunity does present itself. So with that said, it's just for me, there have been guys that have been interested, 110%. I own up to it, that I have turned away because of that wall that my mom talked about. I feel like I have that wall. I don't let people in easily. And then there are people where I tend to be, I'll be honest, I'll be picky. I'm a millennial. I see what I want. I see how it should look, how it should smell, how I just whatever. And if it don't fit that, then in my mind, that ain't it. But on the flip side of that, if they're treating me right, if they're making time for me, I'm 110% a quality time person. And if they can't make time, then it's like, why you look this good, but you can't make time for me? So it's just like, the ones that I want don't want me. And the ones that want me, I'm like, oh, you don't look like what I want you to look like, and I'm trying to work on that.
But like I tell her all the time, and like I've told my doctors, yes, in the words of my grandson, I love him dearly. He tells me all the time, Nana, you're not fat, you're fluffy. So like I tell her, and like I tell the doctors all the time, that, you know, God didn't expect for all of us to be Halle Berrys and Britney Spears and the Beyoncés. He didn't expect for the men to be Denzel Washingtons and what's the other guy? Leonardo DiCaprio. And it is fine. You're crazy. You know, he didn't expect for all of us to be small. He didn't know when he made those people, but then he made us fluffy folks, as my grandson say. And, you know, I have to be honest that with me and dating, just me in general, there was a time in my life that I felt I wasn't enough. There was a time in my life that when I saw a man that I would like to have a conversation with, you know, and just be friends, it was like, he is above my level. But what is your level?
That's a good question.
What is your level?
We got when we post this on Facebook, make sure y'all answer this question. What is your level? What is your level when it comes to, like, how can you demean yourself or think that you're not good enough? Like, what is your level? Worry about that before you can try to compare to the next person and what they got going on. I don't mean to cut you off, but that's a good question.
And then the other thing is the word that you use is compare. You know, we were all grown. When you grew up in school, you got to compare this number to that number. Compare your apples to your oranges and your grapes to your bananas.
Your Instagram page to the next person's Instagram page.
So we were brought up in comparison, like a competing type thing. You know, why is she got a man? What's wrong with me?
Mm-hmm.
She looked like the bottom of my shoe and she got a good looking man. The guys that I've dated in the past, all of them are married now. And I'm still not married. Yeah. What's really going on? Yeah. And, you know, and we fall into that. You know, a lot of people are afraid to say or don't want to say that they deal with depression, that they deal with anxiety. I have dealt with all that. I'm dealing with all of that now. But it's in a much better place than where it was. And I have to bring it in there. During this quarantine time, it's given me time to meditate, to do more for me. I'm not as stressed out on my job because I'm at home working. Mm-hmm. And I'm not caught up in this Nashville traffic, you know, where you don't have enough time to do what you need to do because you're hung up in this traffic. So, you know, like she said, I've taken on the responsibilities of 4 young men. A 10-month-old, I got him when he was born. Got him straight out the hospital. Then I have his brothers, a 14-year-old. Well, he's about to be 1 on the 23rd of this month. So, and then I have his 12-year-old brother. I have his 14-year-old brother. And I have his 16-year-old brother. And my 2-year-old dog. All this testosterone in my house. And then when my grandson come over there, that's more testosterone. So whenever estrogen comes into my house, I'm like, come on, girl, sit down and have a glass of wine with me. You ain't got to go to work. Just sit here and talk to me. But, you know, I did want a boy to play with my grandson and her son. But when they called me and said that they had 3 boys that needed a place to stay, and they were all brothers, I'm like, I can't break their family up. And then when she said it was a little baby, I said, oh, and it was a newborn, I said, oh, that's a challenge for me. That's a challenge. So I'm being the foster parent of these three boys at first, and then their older brother moved in January. It has been a challenge, but I thank the Lord for that challenge because it's given me an opportunity to see things where I took things for granted. I'm just going to keep it 100. We all take things for granted. I got a house. I got a car. I can go do this. We don't stop enough to tell the Lord thank you, especially when I sit and I listen to my kids talk about where they been and what they've gone through. Because they can tell you some stuff that'll make you just, woo-wee.
Let me clarify on the whole dating thing. I don't want for anybody to get it misunderstood thinking that when it comes to dating, I'm just in it for looks. That's definitely not it. I know it probably came off that way. When I say looks, it's not about just appearance for me. It's also the person inside as well. And, you know, again, the whole quality time thing. I was actually talking to a good friend of mine day before yesterday, about the 5 love languages. And for me, I actually took the test the other day too. And it's pretty much just the quality time, words of confirmation, physical touch, acts of service, and gifts was the order of mine. But I kind of bring all that up just because, again, like I said, it's not necessarily just about appearance. And again, that's one of the things that I've working on is because I tend to have that wall, again, that my mom mentioned earlier. I don't necessarily easily let people in. Whereas on the flip side of that, if I'm interested, I'm interested. And I think that a lot of times I tend to struggle with figuring out the best fit. And the lack of my father being there plays a huge role in me having trust issues and things of that nature. I think naturally as women, especially when the father isn't present, we tend to create naturally these assumptions. We try to figure out, okay, he ain't here, who he with, this, that, and the third, and we just kind of overthink things naturally. But I feel like a lot of times men nag at us for being that person, or for questioning and overthinking things. However, if you are a man that's going to not build my confidence, but communicate, as long as you're communicating, then I have no reason to question where you're with, who you're with, how long you're going to be gone, this, that, and the third. I'm not saying you have to tell me every 5 minutes, oh, this is where I'm at, babe. Oh, this is who I'm with, babe. Oh, you need it. I'm not saying that, but let's say if we're in a setting of myself and a guy living together and he decides he want to go hang out, kick it, this, that, and the third, that's perfectly fine, but I shouldn't have to question it. I feel like don't leave me in the blind to have to overthink things. I mean, naturally, again, I feel like women going to do that anyway, but on the flip side of that, be that person that communicates that, hey, I'm finna go kick it with the guys. Okay, cool. The absence of my dad being there, not being able to communicate. Hey, why did you leave? Hey, why are you not there? Hey, why are you always in and out of jail? This, that, and the third. That's played a huge role. It's not just on my mom. I feel like his absence plays a huge role as to why I question the trust of a guy, and anything. Like, I just genuinely feel that your relationship with your parents, not necessarily as a direct reflection, but definitely plays a huge role in the reflection of your relationship when it comes to your mate.
We as women marry our fathers.
Ooh, child.
And that's a wall, because that's one wall I don't want to come across.
Yes.
I don't want to cross that wall. I mean, no. I don't want to marry somebody that was like my dad. So I'm just going to leave it right there.
I know you don't want to get off into it, but I'll get off into mine. I'm actually glad you brought that up because I have heard that a lot. And honestly, I didn't think about that. Like, I didn't think about how deep that could be. Not even just my mom's experience, but mine. Like, if I were to, and again, me and my dad's relationship now, like, we literally, this time last year, it was last April, we had a heart-to-heart, I mean, tears flowing. Like, I learned a lot about my dad that I had no clue of. I have much more of a respect for him now than I did before that conversation, roughly about 365 days ago. It was literally April of last year when we had the conversation. But If I were to marry a guy like my dad, I would be marrying someone. This is before we had the conversation. This is who I would be marrying. I would be marrying somebody who was in and out of jail. I would be marrying somebody who had a life when it came to drugs. I would be marrying somebody who told me that they were divorced, and then when I found out I was expecting, I come to find out he was only separated. I would be marrying someone who not only had a child, by me, but had 4 different other children by 4 different other women. And now all that sounds bad. And somebody from the outside looking in would think, okay, yeah, that's rough. But after the man that I would have been marrying after the conversation that I had with my dad last year, I will be marrying a guy who I did not know this. I'll be marrying a guy who did not physically have his biological father there as an example. I will be marrying a man who was raised around a man who physically, in a negative way, harmed his mom. I learned that the man who I thought was my grandfather was not my biological grandfather. My biological grandfather was deceased when my dad was a kid. And all this time I had so much anger in my heart as to my dad, why weren't you there? Why didn't you step up? Why didn't you do this? And who am I to be mad at him for not being there when he didn't even have anybody there? So he wasn't taught that. So before that conversation, again, I had so much anger towards him because I felt like he wasn't the dad that he needed to be. But how can you expect somebody to be who you want or need them to be when nobody taught them that? I'm thinking this whole time, y'all, I'm 28 years old. I don't mind putting my age out there. I'm thinking this whole time, at that time I was 27. 27 years of my life thinking that you had a dad there, physically there with you, teaching you how to be a man. That wasn't even his biological dad that was there. And that man hurt my grandmother physically. And my dad witnessed that. So again, like, I get your, aspect of it. Being a single mom, not physically having him there. But yes, he is a grown ass man. He could have made the decision, you know what, I may have witnessed this man hurt my mom. I may have witnessed this man do this, that, and the third, disrespect my family. I don't have to take that route. He could have very well made the decision. But at the same time, I feel like I, as well as you, we can't necessarily be mad at my biological father for not being there when, again, he didn't have an example to teach him how to be there. He didn't have an example to teach him how to be a father or to teach him how to be a man when it comes to a relationship. So, yes, we can be upset about certain things, but at the same time, I feel like the fault isn't all on him, because all this time I'm thinking, oh, you had the perfect family. You had your sister, you had your brother, you had my grandmother, you had her husband, who again I thought was my biological granddaddy but was not. And needless to say, he just wasn't the best example of a man when it comes to teaching my dad how to do his due diligence in my life and my sister's life and my 3 brothers' life and my mom's and all, like, just the whole family as a whole. Like, I'm at peace with, I've learned to become more at peace with my dad wasn't there because he wasn't shown how to be there. Now, with all that said, my dad is a hardworking man. Like, he works for a moving company. He is a jack of all trades. He will clean the shit out of your car if you need your car detailed. He helps with painting. He's actually helped me move in. I moved into a brand new neighborhood that purchased my first home 2 years ago. And he's actually worked for a moving company and helped people in my neighborhood move into their homes. Like, to this day, I think my dad's like, what, 60 something? Yeah, he on up there, but he don't look at it all. Like, oh, again, would I say that I want to marry somebody like my dad? With everything that he's been through, his mindset, he's so positive. Like, when it comes to optimism, like, and this is no disrespect or shade or anything like that, but when it comes to optimism, And finding the good out of situations, I 110%, I feel like I got that from my dad. Like, he has been through some shit. And not saying that my mom hasn't, because she definitely has as well. I was there to witness it with her. But again, it took me having that conversation with my dad last year to figure out what he actually has went through. I had to hear it from him, whereas with her, I physically saw it. So I know for a fact that she's been through a lot too. But there are just a lot of times, and sometimes she kind of get upset with me for saying this sometimes, but I feel like when it comes to situations that we experience or that we see in our lives, I'm like, oh, mama, what if it goes like this and it works out like this? She was like, well, what if it don't? I'm like, mama, like, find the positive out of it. You always so negative. Like, I'm literally, and she'd be like, I'm not so negative. I'm just trying to be realistic. And I get that. But on the flip side of that, when it comes to my dad, like, he'll see me and you doing good things at Enterprise. You gonna go here. You gonna go there. You gonna run that company someday. And if you ain't with Enterprise, you gonna run your own company. Like, he pours into me verbally. And I will say too, like, for a while, it bothered me that I grew up with my mom and I didn't hear that as much from her as I did from him, from somebody who ain't been with me. So most recently, I will say that my heart has been so much more warm because I hear my mom say more often now, I'm proud of you. Those 3 words, like, when you don't hear them after a while, it's just like, okay, like, did she notice what I'm doing? I just bought a house. Like, she excited about that. You know, is she happy? Yeah, she fell out on the floor. We'll talk about that on another video. But, because she didn't know I was buying a house. But sometimes I did question. I'm like, okay, is she proud of me? Is she excited? Sometimes she'll nag me about my son Elijah and, you know, his homework. Why you not helping him with his homework? Da, 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 da. Because with me, I'm like, I'm at work and I'm trying to get to the gym. My hours at Enterprise are awful. Like, when I tell you, I love Enterprise. Don't get me wrong, I love that job to death. But I think that anybody can agree, when you work in the daily rental department, the hours there are wazoo. Especially as a single mother. But I made it. I'm doing a good job. And again, there are a lot of things in my life that I would not have if it were not for that company. So I had nothing negative to say about that other than the hours. But, but it's just, as a single mom, with the hours that I had there, and then again, still trying to make sure I'm at home cooking by a certain time. Make sure I'm making time for Elijah and his homework, which I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I sacrifice sitting down with him for homework to go to the gym because I'm a stickler for being in the gym.
But that's what we used to stay into it about.
Yes.
Like that's your first responsibility. Yes, you are your responsibility, but when you bring somebody else into the world, everything else stops. You take care of that first, then you pick up and go on for you. And I have to be realistic and honest and say that with me, when I had her, it was all about her. And then as I got older and she went off to college, I'm sitting here twiddling my thumbs trying to figure out, what about I do now? Y'all got any games this weekend close by so I can drive down for the game? But I'm still twiddling my thumbs. You know, so I should have did her and as well as me. That's what I'm telling her, is to get that even balance. Make sure you take care of you, but this is your first responsibility.
I think and you correct me if I'm wrong, I think that we're both guilty of comparing ourselves to one another too, as parents. With what she just said, sometimes looking at my life as a mom, oh my God, I'm trying to cry. Okay, stop. Okay, so sometimes looking at my life as a mom, I wish that I was there more for Elijah. And what I mean by that is, like, there's how she talked about how she poured herself into me so much and lost herself into pouring into me so much. It's the complete opposite. I pour into myself so much when it comes to being an Enterprise, when it comes to finances, when it comes to working out, when it comes to eating healthy, that I feel like even though me and Elijah are physically with each other, I do feel like there's a lot that I missed out on. Okay, I'm trying to cry. When it comes to him being in like school, sometimes his teacher will like hit me up and talk about how his grades aren't necessarily where they need to be, or events that they would have at school that I would always miss because I was at work. I don't usually get off from Enterprise at the time until at least 6 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock sometimes at night, with the department that I was in previously. But now I'm in commute, which the hours are a heck of a whole lot better. Most recently, my life has kind of changed with me having better hours. So again, I get to go to his football games now. I get to spend more time and go to his practices and stuff like that now because of that recent promotion that I had. And now with the quarantine and everything, putting it out there, being honest, I'm experiencing the same thing that some of you guys are probably experiencing. I've recently been put on furlough, so I don't even know if I'm going to have a job after April. But God willing, I'm staying positive. Everything is going to work out. Why am I still crying? But I will say that there's a sense of jealousy of my mom because she poured so much into me that I'm like, dang, like I wish I could figure this out. I wish I could put myself on a calendar, on a schedule to make sure I'm pouring more time into Elijah because, again, I'm going to be honest, I feel like I pour a heck of a whole lot of time into me. But like you said earlier, it's trying to figure out that balance of how I can be there for both Elijah as well as me. Cause like I said, like y'all know how serious I am when it comes to working out. Like your girl gonna be 60 and fine. Like I'm just saying, like it's not. I'm not saying that you're not. Like I'm just saying, like I'm
not 60.
I'm not playing when it comes to that. Like, if I gotta find me a gym that got a daycare in there, like, Elijah, you go play basketball, you go sit down and do your homework, Mama finna go hit these weights. Like, I have to find that balance. So, I think that, again, there's a sense of jealousy. I tend to be jealous of how my mom raised me because I felt like she was always there. Always there.
Wow.
And I feel like for me, I'm not there enough when it comes to Elijah because, again, the hours at my job at the time being, and then when I finally do get off work, I'm tired. I want to go to bed. I don't want to sit up and talk about 7 plus 8 and 10 plus 13. I want to go to sleep. And then, like, y'all know, for those of you that are parents, y'all know how hard it is to try to teach a kid how to read. What's this word? Sound it out. Y'all know how, especially as us black parents, at this point, we about ready to pull out a belt. Like, you said this word 13 times. I'm asking you for the 14th time. You can't tell me what it is. So, I just feel like my mom was always there. And when it comes to Elijah, I feel like I'm not necessarily there enough. And he lives with me. So, I've never told you that, but yeah.
Well, I got something I want to tell you. Since we keeping it 100. Wow. To hear you say that you were jealous of me, felt some jealousy towards me, I can honestly say I felt that way about you.
Oh, God.
Because I'm looking at, my baby is 25 years old. I bought my first house when I was 28. I'm still in my house. But my baby is working a job where she makes more money than I do. And it's not about the money aspect of it. No, it's not that at all. I said, my baby makes more money than I do. And the jealousy part of it, not the money, it's not the house. It's like, she got a child, and every time you turn around, she going on a trip. And when I was coming up, I ain't going on no trips till after she was, what? She was in high school. I mean, I might have went some places. We took
our first international trip together to the Bahamas, unless you went somewhere before that.
No.
On a cruise?
On that cruise. That was the first cruise I've been on when we went in 2010. But, I mean, I'm not knocking it because everybody has to learn their own way. Whereas when my mom was growing up and my great-grandparents, it was all about family. Not saying that it's not now, because with everything you got going on now, with social media and being able to do stuff like this and computers, period, and video games, you know, it's a big difference. But I can say this, and I tell everybody this. When this child was between the ages, what, 12?
12 and 14.
12 and 14, I couldn't stand her We stayed into it just like that. It was just like oil
Not
and water.
physically. When I do that, this is our head just butting heads all the time.
Oil and water.
She did pop me in my face one time.
Oil and water. Oil and water. But I can say now, and I've always said, I never knew that you could give birth to your best friend. This is my ride or die. If some of my other girlfriends can't go out nowhere, you know, they got their things, they already got something planned. Hey, what you got going on? Nothing. Elijah gonna be such and such, such. Well, come on, let's go. You know, and like I told her, I'm proud of her, very proud of her. I guess with me, so much negative stuff has happened in my life, I go looking for the bad stuff. And I've always been taught, and well, you know, just listening to people. My parents never taught me this, but just listening to other people and just within my life itself, I've brought myself to believe if you look for the negative, when the negative happen, your feelings won't be as hurt because you already knew that was going to happen. Or you had a feeling. I ain't going to say you knew. You already knew that it wasn't going to happen the way that you wanted it to happen or that you would have liked for it to happen.
But for me, I have to, this is where the optimistic me cooks in. I have to a certain extent,
it's not that I'm not optimistic.
But what I'm saying is I have to disagree with that because I'm a firm believer that when you expect, whether it be negative or positive, now granted, yes, a woman's intuition is a killer. Like we know, like hands down, we know. But I feel like in general, male or female, if you continue to expect something negative to happen, it's going to happen. If you continue to expect something positive to happen, it's going to happen. Just like how I mentioned earlier, with me being on furlough from Enterprise. To be completely honest, if I were to get the call to go back to Enterprise and continue to work, continue to make my money, great. But if I don't get that call and they tell me otherwise, like for some reason, like again, I may have just cried when I found out about it. Yes, I cried. My manager called me or whatever. I was upset. But it was only for a few minutes. Like I was like, God has brought me too far for me to not have something bigger to happen. And it may not happen on April 30th. You know, it may be a couple months. Worst case scenario, a year. You know, whatever the case may be. But I just feel like me staying positive, like any of my friends, like it's crazy because like I don't have just one group of friends. Like I have multiple that I could just reach out to. Now my circle is small, let's be clear on that. Like you can't use that word friend loosely. But the people that know me, they usually jokingly but seriously, Sansia, you the praying one out the group, you the saved one out the group, you the sanctified one out the group. Like literally they say stuff like that to me. Like even when I was in college at Lemoyne, we were playing volleyball and stuff like that. Sansia, come on, pray us in. Like little stuff like that. And so it's just I don't see myself hitting no brick wall. Like it's too much going on. And I just, again, like I said, not knocking what you're stating, because like I said, a woman's intuition, when we see things and we know things, like, okay, that ain't right. I know something ain't right. You go looking for it, you just might find it. But on the flip side of that is like when you speak life into situations and stay positive and just know that even you don't know when the positive is going to happen. You don't know how the positive is going to happen, but you know it will. And that's just where I'm at with just everything in my life. Like even again, whether it be friendships, relationships, when it comes to, you know, just any category of anything in my life, I try, okay, look, what if it works out like this? What if it is a turn out like this? Or what if it's better than what I'm even expecting? So again, that's why I say I had to chime in and kind of not necessarily say I completely disagree with what you're saying, but I feel like when you stay positive and, you know, speak life into situations, then you can't always be like, oh, you go looking for it, you're gonna find it. You might find some negative stuff, but I'm extreme. My faith too strong to just like let this whole situation that I'm experiencing right now, as far as furlough and not knowing if I'm gonna have a job after April 30th, like just using it as an example to what you were talking about. Like something is coming. I don't know what it is, but something's coming, baby. I'm ready. I prayed on my knees in December, literally right this way in my bedroom right here, and I told God literally like whatever your purpose is over my life. I've procrastinated it too long. you know, and whatever it is, I said, I pray to God that nobody gets hurt in the situation. If I have to lose some people, cool. If I gain some new people, cool. But at the end of the day, what is my purpose? I'm tired of trying to figure it out by myself. Literally, yeah. If I don't know if y'all seen that movie War Room. My bedroom is my war room. I literally got down on my hands and knees, crying and praying to God, like, whatever your purpose is of my life, I need to know now. I can't keep procrastinating. So again, that's another reason why I'm fueled to just stay positive about the news that I got on last Monday about my job.
But that's all I have for today.
Well, guys, I appreciate y'all tuning in. Again, I'm not gonna be posting videos on YouTube every week. That's just not. I'm not built for that. Unless somebody want to volunteer, and then when it blow up, then you can eventually get paid to do it. But I'm a firm believer speaking stuff into existence, putting it out into the atmosphere, and love y'all.
And remember, in dating, what is your level?
Right. Don't be so concerned about your partner's level. What's your level? Focus on your level and he'll find you. But as I always end my videos, every mother has a story. The world is just waiting on you to share it. See y'all later. Bye.